The man finally found a piece of beef jerky in the supermarket, only for someone to snatch it away. But in that instant, a deadly zombie virus had already spread outside. Once infected, people turned into terrifying zombies, and that meant food had become the key to survival. So the man searched through the remaining rooms of the supermarket. But just as he stepped outside, he saw a police officer running over in a panic, quickly locking the main door. Before the man could react, a zombie pounced like a wild beast and attacked another officer. The man rushed forward, yanking a metal rack off the wall to help, but the noise caught the zombie's attention, and it turned on him instead. Luckily, the officer on the ground fired his gun and killed the zombie. At that moment, the officer who'd locked himself inside the supermarket began to mutate. The man tried to help the officer on the ground, but the officer shot into the air, warning him not to come closer. Then he pointed the gun at himself. Realizing how dangerous the outside world had become, the man rushed home and reinforced his doors and windows. He even added protective measures along the walls. Soon after, the military started evacuating survivors and taking them to a safe zone. But the man had seen how terrifying the mutated zombies looked in broad daylight. He knew the more people gathered, the faster the infection would spread. So he decided to stay hidden at home. But the food at home was running low. Soon, his fridge was nearly empty. With no other choice, the man put on protective gear and went out to find food. He searched several houses, but all their fridges were empty. Then, in one home, he found an elderly woman. She was sick and paralyzed in both legs, so she hadn't left with the military. She had no food either, but she'd been watching from her balcony every day, keeping track of which neighbors had the most supplies. Following her guidance, the man began scavenging. Before long, he found a large amount of food, an off-road vehicle, and some communication equipment. He promised the old woman he'd take her away the next day, but the next morning, there was no response from her on the walkie-talkie. He went to her home and found she had taken her own life. She didn't want to slow him down. Heartbroken, the man turned to leave, but the next second, a zombie knocked him to the ground. Fortunately, it was a female zombie and not very strong. The man grabbed a nearby car door to fight back, then picked up a spear gun from the ground and finished her off. At that moment, the man knew he couldn't stay there any longer, so he jumped on a motorcycle and began his escape.